So thanks for joining us today. I know that it seems a little weird to be at 3:30 this afternoon, but we did have our first annual meeting with the board after our board meeting this morning. When we adopted bylaws in January, one of the things that we had put into our bylaws was that we asked that an annual planning meeting be part of those bylaws, and so we had our first annual meeting today, and we'll have another one then again next July. So I appreciate everyone being flexible and being able to join us today. We recognized some employees this morning. Kelly Curry, 1 year as a social worker in Redwood. For those of you who don't know, Kelly added to her family this past week and has a new baby. So congratulations to Kelly. Beth Wilms, 1 year. So, and you're not supposed to be at the 1 year meeting, because you go when you're, a brand new employee, so you don't have to go to the 1 year. And I was like, well, then I don't have to be at this meeting. But I was at the meeting. Ann Abraham, 5 years as a public health nurse in Marshall. She was not able to join us today. She had other commitments. Krista Copperrood, 5 years as our Health and Human Services planner out of the Slayton office. And Angela Voss, 20 years as a case aide in Pipestone. So those are the folks that were recognized this morning. We had Sarah provide, as she always does, financial information related to where we are financially, and you know that that has been a big concern for the board as well as for the executive team related to our fiscal well-being. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and she will provide you with the highlights of where we are financially.
Yeah, so ending June, I always go through where we're at on a cash basis. So we started out the month in our checking account with about $1.6 million in there. So throughout June is when we receive our first half of our levy funding, and I was happy to report that we received the funding from all 6 counties by the end of June, so that was nice to see. With that then, what we did is we're trying to push as much as we can into investments and savings to try to earn some interest on that money that we're holding on to for a while here. So we did go ahead and reset up our Magic Fund, which is a type of investment that we can do that gets us a little better interest rate than we do with just a normal savings account. So we got that reactivated because we knew we'd have some money coming in that we'd be able to hold on to for a while and maybe earn a little better interest rate, but not tie the money up as long as you would with like a CD that we had been doing in the past. So with the money coming in, we went ahead and moved $1.5 million to our savings account, and then of that, we took $1 million and invested that then into the Magic Fund. So from there, I took $750,000 of that, and locked that in for 120 days, because the longer you can lock it in, the better interest rate you're going to get. And at 120 days, we could get 2.22% interest, so that's a little better than an average savings account. And then the remaining $250,000 of that, we just locked in for 90 days, so we can make sure we do have funds available if it is needed within 90 days. So by the end of September and October, those funds will become available again when we need them, because that's kind of crunch time again before we see that second half of levy funding coming in. So we're happy to report that we were able to actually push some money back into an investment. And then we also have been pushing money into savings too as it comes available. I know this month I was able to push another $1 million into savings yet this week, just our regular savings account. So that is fluid and available when we do need it. So ending June, our overall available balance for cash was at just under $6 million. So we're sitting good again at this time of year, which is nice to see. I also talked a little bit about our self-insurance fund. That is, again, still looking very healthy. As of today, we have over $724,000, almost $725,000 in that account. So that is still looking good, which is nice to see. When looking at the budget for 2018, public health was at the end of June 2% over budget for revenues, which is good to see because we've already collected our first half of levy dollars for public health. So we're going to see that trend. And then they are right on budget for their expenditures too, which is what the board really is focusing on to make sure we're staying within our expenditures throughout the year. On the human services side, ending June, we, after receiving all this levy money, we're showing that we are 1% over budget for revenues. And then again this month, as we were last month, we were still 1% under budget for expenditures. So that's where we want to see those numbers staying under, if at all possible, for expenses. I even got a clap from a board member after recording that. So we are seeing all of your hard work paying off. So that was very nice to see. And just comparing it to where we were sitting last year is where you can see the major difference. So looking at last year at the end of June, our revenues were under our expenditures by about $427,000. So we were in the hole about $400,000 at this time last year, and this year we are in the black about $378,000. So that's like an $800,000 swing that we've been able to make over the past year. So that's been really nice to see that finally starting to reflect in our financials. I think that's kind of everything I had to report for financials.
Okay. We, as always, we present information related to caseloads both in human services and public health. There weren't any questions from the board related to those caseload numbers. We went on to the governing board in Human Services Board, Jennifer Klein, Julie Schulke, and Sherry Pickthorn presented information related to CADI, BI, CAC, and DD waivers and the work that's being done. In particular, Julie and Sherry work more with the DD waivers, and so they presented information related to the work that they do and the process to provide services. So that was well received by the board. Public health didn't have any presentations today. We had anticipated a longer board meeting, even though it was a short agenda, because one of the things that we were going to talk about were the positions that we were requesting from the board. So we had a request for a leave without pay, and it's an intermittent leave without pay that was approved by the board. And one of the things tasked to Sarah and I late last year was to review using the Office of the State Auditor for our audits, or looking at using a private entity to provide those audits to us. So we went out and asked for some information related to cost to do that professional service, and the board made the recommendation, acting upon the Finance Committee's recommendation, to go with a private auditor for next year. And so we will be going with Clifton Larson Allen starting next year then to do our audits for us. They have a lot of experience in working with counties. Lyon County uses them as their auditor, as does Rock County, Des Moines Valley. So they have a lot of experience in the county arena. So we'll be utilizing them. We had 5 positions that we were asking for. As you know, in the 2018 budget, there were 9 positions that were vacant, the last becoming vacant in May of 2018. And so after having a lot of discussion, a lot of planning, we came up with a position request form that provided information to the board. One of the things the board really wanted to look at was a thorough vetting of all vacant positions, including the work that was being done, what would happen if those positions weren't approved, could we look at alternatives, could there be outside contracts that could be done, could work be done by other staff. And of course, one of the things they wanted to look at was, what is the funding stream for those positions? And so we came up with a very nice form. We had a working document that we utilized, and we went through everything. And then once we had that working document completed, we utilized the position request form that was presented to the board. So there were 5 positions today that were requested. There was a county agency social worker in child protection, which will be working mainly out of the Redwood Falls office. There was a county agency social worker with an emphasis in CAC, CADI, BI, and DD, kind of a hybrid position that will be working primarily, I believe, out of the Marshall office. A collections officer working out of Sarah's unit in the finance department. An eligibility worker that will be working, I believe, primarily out of Lyon County. and then a public health nurse in the CNTC, Child and Teen Checkup unit. So we presented that information, and the board voted separately on each of the positions. The board approved all 5 positions. So those positions we'll be opening those up. I believe they will be internally posted, and I believe because we haven't recruited for quite some time or hired since last September, I believe that we'll have to be looking at a new merit list. So they'll probably open it up then in merit, so those folks that wanted to take the merit test would have that opportunity. A lot of times when people take the merit exam, they say that they want to work anywhere in the state of Minnesota, and so we really wanted to have the opportunity to narrow it down and take a look at people who might just really want to work for Southwest or work in this area of the state. One of the things that we had requested of the Finance Committee was that we requested that if there was the domino effect, if somebody internally applied for one of the positions that are coming open, if we could automatically refill those positions without going to the board. And we were told no, that they want to look at that position request form, and so they're going to thoroughly vet all positions, whether those are backfills or whether those are new positions or those are existing positions. So there might be a little bit of lag time if there is an internal candidate who applies for one of those positions, gets the position. We might have a little bit of lag time because we'll have to automatically then go back to the board. We do not have to go to the Finance Committee first for their recommendation to move it forward. Those positions will automatically go directly to the board. So if we know right away prior to August board, we'll take those positions right away to the August board after they've been thoroughly vetted. So that was good news for us in terms of positions. That was one of the things that we had talked about as cost savings measures. What we were going to do, we were going to review a few cost savings measures come July, and this was the big one, was the positions, is we wanted to make sure that we were bringing those positions forward. We brought 5 positions forward, they approved 5 positions. So we were grateful that they saw the need for us to continue to look at the work that's being done, the capacity that staff has, and so I'm grateful for the 5 positions that were brought forward. Does anybody have any questions related to the positions? Okay. The donations this month were Bethany Lutheran Churches out of Arco and Ivanhoe donated children's clothes, blankets, and diapers to children in need. And Good Shepherd Lutheran Sunday School donated bags for children moving into foster care. And there was one contract with Minnesota Department of Health that was a renewal, an amendment to a 3-year, this is the 3rd year that we've entered into that agreement with them, and so that was unanimously approved to move forward. I think there was a $66 increase for us in the amount of money that we're going to receive this year. The board went into closed session to do my 12-month evaluation, and because I'm sitting here today, that's obviously, they approved my staying on board for a period of time. So with that, they went into open meeting again, and then they adjourned. So does anybody have any questions? It was a relatively short agenda, a lot of discussion related to those positions, and so while it seemed like a long meeting, it really, the meat of it really was having those discussions related to those positions. Any questions for anybody? Slayton office? Not hearing anything from Slayton. What about Ivanhoe? Anything in Ivanhoe? Anything in Redwood Falls? Anything in Pipestone? Oh, they're not on. And anything in Luverne? Okay. Well, with that being said, thanks for joining us today. We'll be back here again in August, so thank you for your time. I appreciate it.